Hi everyone. Welcome. What you're looking at is a little scenario that I'm setting up here. Now, pretend the XYZ company just launched the latest and greatest shoe. And you want to find out about these shoes because you know what? These shoes are not only the biggest and the baddest and the best shoes ever, but they also can teleport you. And what are you going to do to get these shoes? You're going to go to the website and you're going to learn more. You're going to Google schmoogle all about these miracle and magical shoes because you need to know what's going on with these shoes. That's what I'm going to talk about today as soon as I flip this camera. Hi guys, it's Renee, and I'm just setting up that scenario. I'm deeming this the classroom so that you can learn a little bit as I go along. So bear with me, you're in the classroom. So I gave you that little scenario. XYZ company launched this mystical, magical shoe, and the first thing you do is you Google it. Of course. Why? Because Google is still relevant. Websites are still relevant. I know we're here on Periscope. If you're watching, maybe you're on Periscope or you're also hearing about Periscope and the buzz around Periscope, and that's really legit as a platform. But I'm here to do a little PSA and give you some tips here on how not to forget about your website because that's still important. You still need your website, okay? Because why? Like mystical, magical shoes, people are going to Google for that information. And the first thing they're going to stumble upon is not Periscope as yet, because you never know. But for right now, today, they're going to stumble upon your website. So you need a web presence. So just to introduce you guys, I'm Renee Walker. I'm the founder of Raw Branded, which is a marketing and communications company that helps creative people and small businesses with a passion and purpose to make their mark through authentic brand building, to be raw branded. So I'm here talking about websites because I want to dish some tips or two for you guys. So back to websites. Okay, websites are key, all right? So this is central. Think of your website as your home. This is your hub, and you probably, maybe or maybe not, have heard this before, that your website is your hub. Yes, it is. Okay, this is where you want all that information to live. It should all live on your website. Information about your brand, your personal brand or your company's brand. All that should be on your website. I'm looking down actually because I'm looking at my notes because it keeps me centered and focused on what I'm talking about. But basically your website is your first impression. This is what people are going to go to Google schmoogle, like I did before, and find out about mystical shoes or whatever it is that's happening. They're going to go that route. So you want to be prepared. And also remember that your website, that's there 24/7. You as a brand, as a company owner, whatever you are, if you're personal branding or you're a business owner, okay, your tentacles can only go so far. We like to think that we're like superheroes, but we can only stretch our limbs so far. But the good thing is that our website lives on and it's there and it's that presence and it's 24/7. This is who I am. So you want to make sure that it's actually legit and it's actually speaking to your brand. That's key. That's essential. Do keep that in mind. Now, here's the other thing. All right, we're talking about websites here. Your website being your home and your website being your first impression. So, given this, please remember rule number 1. Okay. All signs point to your website, okay? So we're here on Periscope, and I'm going to do a little diagram. Deal with me, because we're in the classroom, okay? So we're learning. Right now, let's say, ooh, that's a mighty big circle, but maybe that works for you. This is your website, right? And this is ground zero. This is your home. Your website... ignore the crazy writing. This is your hub, okay? And also your website most likely, well, I'm assuming here, your website should also have your blog. So you want to also have your blog on your website. We'll get back to blogs here. And if you have any questions, just throw it into the chat box, especially if I'm losing you, okay? Because I don't want to lose you. I'll backtrack and I'll clarify. So this is your website. This is the hub. This is your your blog lives on your website, hopefully. And then we have videos. We have our Periscopes, we have our YouTubes, we have our Blabs, we have our, what am I missing? Chime in below. Facebook Live, what am I missing? We have our, what else? We have so many platforms out there that are streaming videos or recorded videos, and they should all be pointing to our website. I'll get back to that. Then we have our Twitter and other similar such platforms, which once again should be pointing to our website. Then we also have, let's say, webinars. Hopefully, maybe you've explored the wonderful world of webinars, and you have webinars. You may also have infographics. You might have some infographics. Please ignore my lovely horrific handwriting. Infographics. Then you might also have, let's say, SlideShare. You might have something like a SlideShare going on as well. And if you don't, take notes. You might have a SlideShare. Let's say that you also have, what am I missing here? You have your videos, you have your podcast even, if you're doing podcasting. And we have our Twitters, we have our Instagrams, we have them all. Instagrams, Instafabs. And let's see, what else are we? White papers. We might even have white papers. Okay, don't want to exhaust it. But you got a lot going on here. You might have one, you might have some, you might have them all, okay? But whatever it is that you have going on, external, you know, your videos, your podcasts, your white papers, your infographics, your SlideShares, your ons and ons and ons, do make sure that they're still pointing to your website. Don't forget this. And I know that we're getting caught up, and I'm seeing this with a lot of scopers, and I love you guys, but we're getting so enthusiastic about Periscope, and that's great. But then what we're missing is that, what about our website? Like, how do people find out more information about us? Because remember, Periscope and other platforms only give you so much of a description, and they'll say, and you have to be really clever about what that is that you're saying that's about you, because before people follow you or find information, they're going to, you know, swipe up or what have you and find out who is this person who's scoping. But then what you want to do is also include your website, because not only on these different platforms will people go back to your website, but they may be schmoogling, and then they find you, and you want to make sure that this is looking legit. So all signs that's going on should point to the web, because one, the web can be more of the dense experience. If you want it to be a dense, has everything, this is what I am about my brand experience. Or your website could really just be a one-pager just for SEO purposes. It could really be just a one-pager that has, don't forget you, it should have a picture of you. Please have you and not some random photo. It should have some sort of picture of you or whoever, and then it's just showing that this is so-and-so's webpage or website or mini site, and this is who I'm about, and this is how you can reach me. It's okay if most of your conversation's on like another platform like a Periscope, but note that on your website that you can learn more about me on Periscope. That's it, simple one-pager. And that's okay. Just make sure that all signs are pointing to your lovely website. And by the way, at the end of this, I'll do a little zoom in, or you can do so right now and do a little screen capture if you want, and then you can zoom in so that you could do a little mental note for yourself. How about that? So the other thing is making sure that not only your website, but all these different platforms are integrated. Meaning, if there's a certain tone or experience that's going on these platforms, you want that to be consistent also on your website. So let's say that you're wacky, zany, I know nothing about that, on any of these platforms, you want the same kind of tone on your website. Let's say that you're more informational, that's your brand, or you have more of a product that's going to help people hopefully solve a problem, and it's more of an informative experience, educational experience. Make sure that experience trickles on every which way, 360, and also back to your website. Because nothing's worse than you Google a company, it's like boring website that doesn't summarize what the product is, what they want you to do, what the experience is, who the person is. Then you go on to random, like, let's say Twitter, and then it's like random photo of not even the product, and you're like, is this the same company? Is this the same person? Or worst of all, it's not even properly representing the company. And then you have a little branding crisis here if your Twitter is on fleek. If your Twitter is doing something crazy and the comments are a little wild and inappropriate, but then you have this really professional website, then one's not speaking to the other and you're not clear on your messaging and you're going to confuse people and they're going to leave you. Okay, plain and simple. So you want to make sure that everything, the tone, whether it's funny, informative, sarcastic, or serious, or loud, or whatever it is, that's consistent, that experience. You also want to make sure that the look and feel is also consistent. So if I go on XYZ website to find out about mystical magical shoes, and I see shoes everywhere, and I think this is the best website ever, and I'm loving the experience, magical shoes should be on your podcast as well. That whole experience should be the same. It should be the same thing when you're sharing infographics about how magical shoes were made. Or if you're doing a webinar on how you too can create magical shoes, that should be the same. Or if you're doing videos, a video campaign where people who have bought magical shoes are now wearing it and telling you their story about it, that should be consistent as well. So just giving you a little tips here on how the same message, the same experience can be trickled into different platforms. So keep that in mind a little bit. The other thing is on your website. Now we have this website that looks good. Navigation is clear. Oh, by the way, do some housekeeping on your website. Don't just throw things on your site for the sake of, I need to throw in a blog and I need to throw in a description. And then your page has so much going on that people will go on a website for 2 seconds and then they're off. So you don't want to have it too clustered and crazy because then you're going to lose people. So make sure you do some house cleaning, sweep it up a little bit and do some dusting. Clean up your navigation on your website and make sure that it's easy to take a little tour around your site. So do that. And also look at the wording to your actual content. Make sure that it's consistent with your brand. Once again, going back to the tone and everything else, but also make sure that it's not losing people. Are you too technical in your writing and your audience isn't a technical audience? Are there not technical folks that need things to be broken down? Think of it stepping out of that and adapt your website to fit that. Remember, it's not just about you and your bubble, but how people, your audience, is going to view your bubble, your website, and then everything else that's happening outside that bubble, and hopefully they've taken the time to hop around all these different things, or they may just find you on one of these platforms and then decide to take a left turn to your website. And if they do decide to do that, you want to make sure that that's all clean and neat and tidy for them, okay? So clean up before your guests come over, okay? That's another tip. The other thing is a call to action, all right? So this is something I'm telling you guys here on these platforms like Periscope or even on your website. What do you want people to do? Do you want them to join your newsletter? Do you want them to sign up for your courses? Do you want them to follow you on Periscope? Whatever it is that you want them to do, whatever action you're asking people, you found me here. You found me. Now I want you to do this. Whatever it is, don't forget to tell them what this is. Whether you're here and we're talking, and I want you to visit me on my website, reneewalker.me, and I want you to go there. That's something you can do. Or you can say, join my newsletter by texting Raw Branded to 3344. That's another prompt, and you could do that. Or I might say, sign up for my courses launching soon by texting Raw Branded Courses to 3344. You can do that too as well. This is for real. That's another thing that you may want people to do. So don't forget those prompts as you're doing your websites, or if you're scoping, or if you're on Twitter, or whatever it is. It may feel like shameless promotion, and I say this all the time. I'm like, excuse my shameless promotion. But we wouldn't be marketing ourselves if we're not doing shameless promotion. Okay? And it's not. It's just informing people of what you have to offer and how you want to connect with them, whether it's, joining a list or taking a course or whatever it is, or following them somewhere else where you're more active on a different platform. And that's what you want to remind them. So, and that's okay. So just to recap, a couple things you want to do is point all signs to your website. That's key number one. Number two, make sure that the experience is integrated so that your tone, let's say your logo, the look and feel, let's say even who's representing your brand is all over these platforms. So if it's you, that same photo of you should be on your website, on your platforms, so people can easily identify that. Or if it's a logo or some sort of graphic, make sure that's consistent throughout. So that's another thing. So people can easily, it jogs the memory. And this is where it gets into psychology. And yes, I do pull in psychology sometimes, but it really is. Marketing has all that psychological aspect to it, where it's just that cue, that prompt. I see blue or I see purple and I see that face, and I know that that face is part of that brand, and I see that tagline and I see that experience. And I read that first line really quickly and it was really funny, and I remember, oh yeah, that's part of XYZ brand with the mystical shoes. Yeah, I get it. So people need that quick, easily digestible prompt, that cue to remind them. So don't forget that. And then clean your house. Clean the website. Keep it clean. Don't make it too complicated with levels upon sub-levels and navigation. If you want a little sample of what's a really good site, and I'm not going to say my own, but yeah, it could be. But no, I'm going to say go to Nike's website. And that's, if you haven't had the Nike experience, and no, they're not paying me to say this, the Nike experience on their website is really nicely done, which is why they have a whole tribe of people who are downloading those fit apps. Not just even the sneakers, but they're now part of a Nike experience, a Nike health fitness experience. So don't forget that. That's actually working to their advantage because they've built this whole look and feel community around their brand. And that's real, and it's working for them. So take note on what these bigger brands like a Nike is doing for your smaller brand or your personal brand. So that's tip number 3. Tip number 4. Okay, don't forget your call to action. Whatever it is that you want people to do on your website. It's all great if they stick around. Hopefully they will, because people's shrinking attention spans, they may not stick around and read through all your pages on your website like you'd like to, and it hurts. I know. But hopefully I didn't mess it up. Hopefully they'll at least let them know about your call to action. Whatever it is you want them to do, don't let them go. Say, you've come to my house, I cleaned it up, I made it nice and pretty for you, and it's informative. And before you go, don't forget, sign up for my newsletter, or take my course, or find out that I'm launching this program or this product soon by signing for this or texting that. Whatever the action is that you want them to do, don't let them leave without taking that action, okay? Don't let them go, because there's so many other brands and people, and we're overloaded with information that you don't want to let them go. You want to come back at them, and hopefully they joined your email list, and now you can communicate and say, hey, remember me with the mystical magical shoes? Don't forget, we have Mystical Magical Shoes Part 2 coming out in the spring, and you want to stick around for that product. So do that. So don't forget these things, okay? Hopefully this was helpful for you. Don't keep it to yourself. Share with a friend. Give a heart or two if it was. And don't forget to also follow me, because I'm going to do this on my website. Or you can text, we're all branded, 233-444, and you can join my e-newsletter. I had to do it. If you have any questions for me, you can always find me here on Periscope, leave a message or two on Twitter, or you can also join my mailing list, as I mentioned before. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you again. Bye.